Alright, we should be good. Let's go ahead and mute Twitch. Send out tweets. Connect the bots. Do everything. Cough, because apparently my sickness won't go away. And I guess refresh the Twitch page because it's not showing me as streaming, which is never a good thing. So, hello everyone, this is Chris Ingerson, and it is December 5th, and this is the December 5th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be doing some, I don't want to say half measures, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to finish what we start today, mostly because, well, I don't have the actual assets that I need to finish it finished. Specifically, what we're going to be setting up today is a initial, very rough pass at the canyon cutscene. And what that's going to largely entail, I guess I could probably play. Actually, let me make sure that I don't have, let's see, test. If you're not there, then it will use the planes, I believe. So, let's go ahead and play. So, currently, the way this scene is set up, really? Well, that was weird. Whoa. That's, huh. That was really weird. Okay, let's take a... Oh, I bet I know what it is. I bet that it is the audio. Or the... I don't know. We'll find out. We got a bug. Hooray! Who knows? It's been a while since we've looked at the canyon level. So let's go ahead. Open this up. Let's go ahead and close some of this stuff. We don't need any of this. Let's see. Current level, none. Let's see. TQ instance dot level names dot get level ID get active scene dot name. Interesting. Does that mean that you are not getting an active scene? That would be weird. Well, okay. Let's take a look at this real quick. Debug.log scene manager dot get active scene. Let's see if that thinks that it's null. That would be a weird internal Unity bug. Get current level. Yeah, I mean, seems like it would. I mean, this should work, but if it's returning null on the active scene, that wouldn't function then. Interesting. Oh, I just debugged it. I didn't debug if it was null. There we go. Because that, or I guess TQ instance, which is the TextQuest scene loader, but that should pretty much, yeah, create one. So that's interesting. Go ahead and play this again real quick. It could be some weird oddity with my client object. Yeah, it seems like it's put, okay, so that's what it was. I was getting menu cameras. Can I get a scene loader? Well, alright then. Weird. Okay. Let's go over here to this, go to definition. Actually, let's go to client real quick. Resources, or not client, global. Let's see, scene manager, scene loader right there. So I do have it as part of that. Alright, well then, we're just going to do this. Let's see, instance equals new game object. So before we do a new game object, we're going to say, no, we're not going to ever do this, I guess. So we're going to go ahead instead and say equals, well, actually, no, we'll do if instance, then instance is equal to global Oh, and scene loader is right. How wonderful. Well then, fine. That's weird though. I wonder why I've not run it. Why? Huh? Why does that work in the castle but not in the canyon? Interesting. Some other stuff must be requesting it. That would be interesting. Well, I suppose I could change this anyway. So let's go to scene loader. Here we are. Actually, we want to go to our error again, don't we? Okay. No, that was close. Let's see. So we can return this as is. Instead, we're going to say global.get text quest scene loader. We'll just do that. Same thing, pretty much. Make this back to be one line. Okay, so that should work now. Interesting. So the problem was that it was trying to access something that didn't exist, but instead of spawning in my global object, it just created an object that had part of the logic. It's kind of weird. Alright, let's try this again. And Shazam. There we are. So we're in the canyon. No audio has been set up because we're still doing that. So the way this scene is currently set up, you can see that there is a collapsed bridge. Apparently with no collision right now. Wow. Yeah, like no collision. And you would normally have to climb down this bridge to get to the bottom here, but that's actually not something that's super intuitive. In fact, when I play tested this particular area, it was not uncommon for people to leave the plains. That's where this path goes back to. So it wasn't uncommon for people to leave the plains, arrive here, look out, and be like, okay, this looks pretty cool, and then they would come over here and have no idea what to do. So a lot of people would try leaping off the edge, and that would, of course, kill them because, well, that's a high enough drop to kill you. But the idea was that you would come over here to the bridge and climb down it. But that's not immediately obvious because, well, the bridge is kind of hard to see. It doesn't really look like anything's here, so it's not unusual for people to just miss it. So that's kind of boring. And it's also static. And, you know, we have a collapsed bridge, but we don't get to see it collapse. So something that I would like to do instead is... I'm trying to make it so that my mouse doesn't keep going out of bounds. Is have the bridge be intact when you first show up. Have you able to walk across it. And right before you reach the other side, the wizard's going to show up, push you back to the middle stack here, which is lovingly baked, as you can see. That's a UV map problem. In any case, push you back to this center stack, and then cut the bridge so that it falls in a fairly dramatic fashion. Now, the main reason I want to do that is, one, this, like I said, this is just not script enough. It's very easy for people to have no idea what to do here. It's not immediately obvious that you can climb down this thing. It's kind of hidden. It's kind of awkward because you have to look down near an edge. It's just not something that people will know unless they've been told about it. So by having the bridge be walkable initially, it's going to, well, one, make it more interesting because you actually have a bridge that you get to walk across, and who doesn't like walking across bridges in games? But two, when we have the cutscene occur that reinforces the wizard as your enemy, it has a really nice set piece of him cutting the bridge, not quite out from under you because he does push you back to the stack. That way you can't die in the cutscene. But the other benefit to that is that once that cutscene happens, you are going to be stranded on that stack, so you will only be able to safely get down by climbing down the freshly cut bridge. And at that point, it'll be a similar situation where you'll have the bridge hanging down, but you will know that the bridge is there. You're not going to miss it because it was right in front of you at one point, and you saw it get cut. So people will hopefully be able to suss out that they need to climb down the bridge. And then once they do that, they'll be able to see that this bridge over here has also been cut, and they can now climb up it. And then, of course, once they come back to this level from the planes, if they ever go back to the planes, because I guess it's theoretically possible that you don't come here until you have everything you need. But if they ever go back to the plains and then come back here to the canyon, they know that they can just come up here and climb down it. No muss, no fuss. They've gone through this stuff or gone through the situations to teach them that. So that's the very, very long explanation of why I want to do this. Now, the steps to get there are going to be kind of weird, because they're going to involve one, Karante, or Karante FX, which is a physics simulation tool, which lets you bake out simulations to animations. And we're going to do some weird stuff with that today. Actually, we're not going to get too much into that today because I don't have, like I said, I don't have the art assets needed to actually make this cutscene 100%. So instead, what we'll be doing today is kind of setting up the initial trigger the initial trigger that activates a timeline that will then activate a Karante FX thing. That's just going to be something that we have to figure out. So go ahead and stop playing. All right. Now, I guess we should probably do the Karante stuff in a empty scene real quick, just to show you what I'm doing. So we're going to start off by making a very, I guess it is simple, a simple rope simulation with Karante, and I'll be walking you through some of the stuff for it, because I'm still fairly new to the system. I'm not fully versed in it, and the documentation on ropes is missing, I guess. For lack of a better term, it's not in the documentation. So I've kind of had to try and guess things by descriptions and outputs. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and start us in just an empty scene. I will go ahead and move this, let's see, so text quest, scenes, and overworld, canyon. I'm going to call this Canyon Karante. And this is just going to be a scene where I simulate Karante stuff, specifically for the canyon. And real quick, this is just going to be wanted to make sure that my stuff was not muted. All right. So first things first, let's go up here to window, I believe. There's so many assets now. Karante FX editor. All right. And before we do anything else, I am going to go ahead and pull in. Do I have a test? Good, I do. That's my test scene. No, I don't want that. I guess we'll put it here. So we're going to call this folder. We'll call this rope simulation. I'm going to pull in a mesh that I have made. Mesh rope. Aha! And of course, my wonderful importer has already turned off import materials. Alright, we're also going to set our scale factor to 100 by default. We don't really care about anything else. So we're just going to pull this in, and it's a basic rope. We're not really going to do anything with it. Right now it's also it's fairly large, and this is a very, very simple rope. This is not really as complex as we're going to eventually have to make our bridge. But it will get the idea of a Karante simulation across, and it will allow us to actually basically test playing Karante simulations from timeline after being triggered by a physical trigger. So this is going to be interesting. In any case, I'm also going to go ahead and just create a cube. And this cube is going to be, go ahead and reset their positions. Okay. So all we're going to do here is basically we're going to rotate the rope. Let's see, is that on the x-axis? Yep. By 90 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and slide this out to there. Seems fine. And all I'm going to do is basically simulate this rope. I'm not going to do anything beyond that. I'm just simulating it, which will cause it to kind of flop down, I guess. I don't really know what the simulation term for a soft body just. In any case, so let's go over here to Karante FX. So the way this works is it's a super fancy editor built directly into Unity. We can do create FX game object that creates this little Karante FX underscore 0. And we get a whole bunch of simulation data, although we haven't actually run anything. This is just information on the actual simulation that we would eventually run. And currently all we have is a gravity underscore 0. Is it daemon or demon? I mean, it's pronounced demon, but whatever. In any case, and this is just a gravity node that tells all of the objects in the simulation that they are going to have a downward force of negative 9.81 meters per second, which is exactly what gravity is on Earth. So we're going to add two things here. We're going to add an irresponsive body, which is just bodies that aren't actually affected by the simulation. Like, they don't move, they don't do anything. Other simulation bodies can react to them, but irresponsive bodies just don't do anything, basically. They're basically things that are meant to aid with simulation like floors, but not actually be simulated themselves. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and just drag our cube in there, because our cube, we don't want it to move, but we want our rope to flop off of that. If we didn't have the cube here, when we simulated the rope, it would just fall. But with the rope here as an irresponsive body, we'll eventually attach to it so that the rope it'll be attached here and it can't move on this part of the rope, but the rest of it will fall down like normal. Alright, so we'll go ahead and, I like to group these things too, so I'm going to come over here and make a couple of groups. So we're going to have, if I can get it right. Alright, so we're going to rename this to irresponsive. Rename this to soft bodies, and we're going to rename this to, what do I want to call it? Joints, I guess. I'm also going to move my gravity up here to the very top. I like that to stay there. Alright, irresponsive bodies are going to go under there. This is just a nice little organization property. They're like folders. I could rename the irresponsive bodies, but I don't particularly care for this test. Alright, so in soft bodies, I'm going to come over here to bodies. I'm going to make a rope. And rope bodies are kind of weird. I'm still learning how they properly work. One of the criteria for a rope body is that it has to be a spline mesh. And that's not entirely accurate. I tested that out a little bit earlier, and you don't actually have to generate this mesh with a spline in Maya. And for those who don't know, spline meshes are basically, there are techniques you can use in Maya or any 3D modeling software that you can basically extrude a polygon along a curve, and that's what you would probably call a spline mesh. But you don't actually have to do that. From what I can tell, Karante just wants a body that has been subdivided. So it's examining the topology of the actual object to determine if it can be simulated as a rope. Again, I can't confirm that that's all it's doing, but that's what my guess is, and the documentation for rope bodies, like I said, doesn't exist right now. Presumably they're still updating that stuff. But if we drag our mesh rope into this, you'll see Karante FX body come up on it. It's now in our bodies field. Alright, so this is almost everything that we want. We might end up adjusting some of these stiffness values once we simulate. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and do one more thing, which is going to add a close area joints, or joint thing, I suppose. And all this is, go ahead and put it under there. This allows me to basically affix two bodies together so that they'll affect each other in the simulation. Because currently, and I guess it doesn't hurt to just show you guys this. So I'm not going to attach anything yet. Instead, I'm going to come over here to our main Karante FX thing. We're going to set our total simulation time to 5 seconds is plenty for this. Lower our quality to 25. We'll do 60 frames per second. Okay, let's save this, and we're going to simulate. I'm going to move this down so you can get a better view of what we're doing. And all you're going to see, well, I'll just let you see. Yeah, that. I'm going to stop simulating a little prematurely. We can scrub through this. But you can see that the rope just kind of falls, and that's because there's gravity on the rope, but the rope isn't actually attached to anything. So when we run the simulation, all it does is just fall straight down. Now, to prevent this, we can attach the actual bodies together. So I'm going to attach my mesh rope with my cube. And let's see if this actually works this time. We're going to go ahead and say create. Okay. So these little squares here, these little green gizmos, those are the attachment points for the rope and the cube. Now the cube, if you remember, it didn't move, and that's because it's irresponsive, so it's not going to do anything. And by attaching the rope to this cube, I have now made it so that this end of the rope can't move. So this time, if we run our simulation, you're going to see that it's attached to the cube, and it's just going to sit there. Now we can play this. You can see the cube or the rope deforming. We're actually going to go ahead and stop this. Let's go over here to our rope body. I think we want bend stiffness. Yeah. So we want to make this 0.01, I believe. Let's go ahead and simulate. And now we should see it kind of be a lot more limp. All right. So if we look at this from afar, you'll be able to see the whole simulation of it bending, and then it just sort of sits there. We could increase this simulation time. Go ahead and close this. Come up here. I'm guessing 10 seconds will be more than enough. I honestly don't even think we need that. So let's go ahead and simulate one more time. So this will run a simulation for about 10 seconds, during which I'm guessing that will be enough time for the rope to stop moving. It wasn't. It was still kind of moving there. So we can play it back as an animation, see what it looks like. It's good enough, I think. Alright, so once we have that, we can bake this simulation. So let's go ahead and say bake simulation. We'll bake everything, I suppose. Alright, and let's see, we want frame start, all of this to be true. I'm going to try it as a text asset. I've not actually tried CR animation asset, so it'll be interesting. And let's see, I've got to remember how to do this. So bake object name, we'll go ahead and call this rope, not text, test baked. Remove invisible bodies, skin ropes, yeah, might as well. Skin clothes, we're not doing that. Vertex compression, all this stuff is fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and bake this out. We're going to go down here to test, rope simulation. Alright, so let's go ahead and call this rope test. Save that out. Alright, so that's going to bake it out. And once this is done, we should be able to play this out, I think. Interesting. All right. Now, admittedly, I do not know how to actually activate these things yet. So this is going to be a fun little exercise for us. Interesting. So, what do you have? So you have all of these. Does that mean I need to make you a prefab? It seems like that would be weird. I don't know why it wouldn't just make a prefab. But sure, let's go ahead and pull this in. We'll give this a try. I'm also wondering, can we... So I'm going to close this. Let's see, repeat mode, animate. This is one of those things that I just forgot to actually run through tests before the stream, so we're going to be learning together. So much fun. Presumably I'll be able to actually play it. I kind of wonder if I just hit play if it'll run. I'm going to go ahead and save real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and also turn these off. Let's find out. Oh, there it is. Okay, but now I'm curious if there is a... I guess presumably animate is the thing that does that. Well, in any case, so we have our prefab. We're going to go ahead and jump over to the canyon again. Yeah, we'll go ahead and save. And we're going to try to get this this rope test to run. So let's see. We want to pull in rope test baked. Go ahead and pull this up. Pull this up. Let's rotate this by about 90 degrees. I'm curious if this will really run at all. I guess we can actually just play the scene, because it should autoplay. As long as it doesn't crash. And there it is. Cool. So that's it autoplaying, but we don't want it to do that right away. Instead, what we want to happen is, oh, it's looping, is we want that to happen when we get to the center of the stack there. So we're going to have a temporary, like, flat bridge that we'll use. Let's go ahead and stop. I'm also going to turn off animate. I want to see if that prevents it from actually doing the animation by default, because it's obviously useless if it's always going to start by itself. All right, next we're going to go ahead and just create a 3D cube. Pretty basic stuff. We're just going to stretch this. It's going to look hideous, but we're going to use it for now. Let's see, put you right about there. That's probably fine. 0.2y, let's see, 10? Yeah, 10 looks good. Ooh, 50 is too much. 20? Yeah, that's about right. Cool. Should be good, should be good. Alright, so let's go ahead real quick. Let's save that. And let's try running across that. Also seeing if that the rope simulates. Now, I am a little concerned, admittedly. Okay, good. So yeah, animate just means animate on awake. So, one of my concerns here is I'm not entirely sure how performant Kurante FX is. I don't know how intense their simulations are. They're basically animations, from what I can tell, but they're their own special kind of animation. So I honestly don't know if this is like a huge resource drain or not. We're running at 70 FPS, which is probably not great. How many? Let's see. What's my batches? I have 11 set pass calls currently, and I'm running at 70. That could also be because I tell my frame rate to lock, and that might be lowering it arbitrarily. Because, I mean, it certainly doesn't feel like anything sticky, and I don't think we're getting... we don't seem to be getting any sort of frame drops, really. So, I think we're fine. Although it's funny that we're not getting any saved by batches, or anything saved by batching. In any case. Alright, so now comes the fun part. So we're going to need to trigger a timeline based on a trigger, which we already have the capability of doing. And then once that happens, we're going to also want to trigger a Kurante FX simulation from timeline. So I think we're gonna do a little bit of a cheat to start. And what I mean by that is we're going to have a trigger that will trigger the Kurante FX animation first. I want to see if I can even do that from code. Again, I would assume so, because it would be incredibly strange and dumb if I couldn't. But we'll find out. So let's see. We want zones, right? Okay. Use item zone. I'm just gonna see where my zones are here. Ah, here we are. All right, zones. That's actually not what I want. probably want triggers. Let's see, CN trigger, discovery trigger. That's what I want. Here we are. So we have music trigger, and then, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and create C# script. I'm going to call this a cutscene trigger. Alright. Reload all. This is going to be in the text quest namespace. This is also going to be a text quest trigger, which I believe automatically gives us a data ID to look for. Cool. And then it will handle itself if it's been triggered. Is it really on trigger state? I thought it was on trigger stay. Interesting. We're just going to set ourselves in. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this. We're going to go up here and say using Unity engine.playables. We're going to say public playable director, cutscene, and then we'll go ahead. Oh, wait, no, this is, well, yeah, this is fine. We are going to, I guess, actually, this is going to be interesting. Oh, good. Karante FX does already exist. I was not entirely sure what I would have to use for the namespace on Karante. So we're going to say public. Okay, so we have Karante FX dot car animated. It seems like that would be. Let's look for. Animation, GPU buffers, CR animation, or car animated game object. Let's go ahead and do that first. We'll call this simulation. So I'm going to let that compile because I want to see what it looks like, really. And I guess we'll go ahead and create a trigger for this stuff. Do I have? I do have triggers. Haha! If Unity ever compiles, we'll be able to do this stuff. Alright, let's see. So we're going to call this bridge trigger. Pull over cutscene trigger. Interesting. Well, it's apparently not the Karante animated game object simulation because that, so it's, I guess, CR animation. Because whatever this is, it doesn't serialize. So, okay, car, what was it? CR animation. Okay. Let's let that compile. Make sure that that's. I mean, it's got to be a mono behavior, so I can't imagine that there's not serializing it somehow. Let's see. If so, I might have to figure out how they're doing that because I'm legitimately curious how they would be able to have a mono behavior that's not serialized. All right. Aha! There it is. Let's go ahead and place that in there. Let's see. So I believe we actually want to. Override. Let's see, on trigger entered. We want trigger entered. Right, pretty sure that that's what we want. What are you doing? Why do you keep switching me over to Japanese? Yes, so these are just virtual functions, or they're. Oh, they're straight from event trigger. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So all right. So once we enter the trigger, we're going to call base.triggerEntered, and we are also going to go ahead and say simulation.play. Nope, it's not play. Not play. Okay. Well, let's find out. Let's see, get into animation name. Play is apparently not a thing, so we can't do that? Is there start, I'm guessing? There wasn't begin, I don't think. Load active animation? No, doesn't seem right. Send message. Start coroutine. Really? Well then how the frig do I tell it to do it? Okay. Well, do I have CR animation? I do. Okay. We're gonna take a quick look at this. Let's see. I try not to show asset store stuff on my stream because I feel like that's kind of a dickish thing to do. So I'm going to try to get in and get out of this as much as possible. So we want to look for animate. There we go. Okay, find all references. Let's see, cloned animation to animate. If animate, I'm guessing. Okay, that was an update. That is wait, what? There are 2 updates? What? Oh, one's the internal Unity one and one's not. Interesting. Okay. No way. No way. Really? We have to scrub through it manually? That's so weird. Okay, okay. I wonder if that means that I could simply tell its animate variable to be true? Is that all I would need to do? Well, let's come over here. Animate is equal to true. That would be so weird. That would be so weird. Okay. Let's also turn off the loop, so we're going to do clamp, I'm guessing. God, that would be so weird. Alright. Come on. I believe in you, Unity. You can do it. So we're going to set that to clamp. We're going to come over here to trigger. We're going to add a box collider. We'll make it a trigger. Move this up. Okay, let's try to center this in the play area. Alright, let's go ahead and say size of, I don't know, 10 by 5 by 5. Seems fair. It's probably going to be a little smaller. Well, I mean, actual final project, or final trigger won't even be on this part of the level. It'll be over here, kind of. But this is good enough for now. Let's see. Oh, we also need to make sure that it is set to, let's see, ignore raycast. There we are. Okay, so we have our rope test. So let's see this. Let's see if this works. So expected results here are we will play. The animation is not going to play right off the bat, and once we reach the center, it will tell it to animate. So let's find out. Ha-ha! Cool. So we got that to work. Well, that's good. And that's all the rope animation is. That guy's going to say, is it going to stop? Cool. So that's that. So we can actually get it to play. Hooray. That's exciting. So next we're going to want to set up the cutscene now that we know that that works. I guess for now I'll also go ahead and just comment this out so that I know exactly how to reference them in the future. But for now, we're going to go ahead and just say, how do I want to do this? Let's see. Should I call it? No, I called it timeline. Really? Really? Interesting. So using the engine, no, not that. That's sleepy owl dot common timeline manager dot play. Okay, so it's static. Timeline manager dot play director, and then we're gonna just pass cutscene with no callback because we don't care. All we care about is the director. All right. So as this compiles, set our tags up to be player. That's all we care about. Yep. Let's see. Type will be enter. Data ID will be. Really? That's weird. Why? You're not using. Oh, okay. Whatever. Yeah, we'll just have it be Scarecrow burned for now. Doesn't really matter what the ID is. Let's see. So that will activate a cutscene, but we have to actually set up the cutscene. And then we need to set up our Karante effects triggering stuff from the cutscene. Okay, let's see. This is, how do I want to structure this? I suppose first things first. Let's go ahead and come down here. We're going to call this cutscenes. Okay, let's go ahead and create a playable director. We'll call this bridge collapse. Cool. Let's see, play on awake is going to be false. Everything else will be the same. Go ahead and save this out. Alright, so we have animation, overworld. Did I just do this in the same thing? Nope, that's not it then. Timelines, there it is. Let's see. Create folder overworld. Create folder canyon. And then we're going to create timeline. Cool. We'll call this, I guess canyon. Call it canyon for now. I forget how my format is. Okay, so it's dashes. Canyon dash bridge dash collapse. Okay. Go back over here. Put this up. Let's go. Turn off stats. Go over to our timeline editor, and we're going to need some scripts. So let's get rid of you. Let's see, timeline interaction. Wait, hold on. That's not right. So what does it play? Sound. Yeah, where are you guys? Oh, you're just in the same thing. Ah, that's fine. Okay, let's get rid of you. I suppose this would be a good time to group some of this stuff up. So we're going to say set animator parameter. Drag that up here. And then we're going to create a new folder. We'll call this Karante. We'll create... do I want a track for it? I do. I don't want to use the friggin' Unity script wizard, though, for it, because it's kind of clunky and it doesn't use my templates, which annoys me. So, we're going to go ahead and make a playable behavior. Well, we would if it ever finished compiling. Abracadabra. Ah! Alright, so we're going to call this, keep the behavior part, play, should I call it just play CR animation? I don't see why not. I mean, that's kind of what it's going to be doing. So play CR animation behavior. I believe in you, Unity. You can do it. I mean, you have to struggle a lot, but I believe in you. Create another playable. This one's going to be a playable asset. So we're going to call this play CR animation clip. And then we'll have one more that's going to be our track. Because we want the track to automatically expand or change the duration of the clips to be the duration of the animation that they're going to play. As well as reflect the name of the animation that they're going to play. So let's go ahead and create one more script, C# script, and we're going to call this play CR animation track. Cool. Let's go ahead and open this up. Reload all. Close some of the stuff we don't need anymore. We don't need CR animation up there anymore. Cool. Just go ahead and open up all of them. And I suppose we could probably just close you too. So we want the clip to start off with. We're going to go ahead and say, yeah, we'll go ahead and make these text quest specific. They're kind of, they could be in common, but I don't like putting asset dependent stuff in common, so. Okay, so this is our clip. So we're going to go ahead and say public exposed reference. Oh, and that's not going to work yet because we need to say using CurrenteFX. Then we're going to say CR animation. We'll call it animation, I suppose. I don't really know what else to call that. So, do I care about anything else really? I mean, I think I can tell it to start from specific points. Like I could tell it what simulation time to start at. Yeah, excuse me. But it's not. Nah, I'm not gonna worry about that for now. So let's go ahead and save this. I said save. All right. Let's go ahead and delete some of this. So we're going to need to say public, I keep forgetting, using CurrenteFX, say public CR animation. We don't care about on graph start, stop. We do want behavior play. Don't care about anything else. We just want it to start playing that animation as soon as we get there. And all we will do here is say if application dot is playing animation dot animate is equal to true. Cool. Let's see. So here's our clip. Now we got to do our wonderful scriptable stuff. So script playable. Let's see. Play CR animation behavior playable is equal to script playable dot create graph. Can I get away with that? Nope. Darn it. Play CR animation behavior. All right, we're going to return playable down here. We're going to say play CR animation behavior. Behavior is equal to playable dot get behavior. Oh boy. Then behavior dot animation is equal to animation. Got all the steps. Let's go ahead and get rid of you. All right. Last thing will be the track here. Let's see, we're going to say using Unity Engine dot timeline. I don't know if I need playables, so I'm going to ignore that for now. Let's see, so this is a track asset. This is going to be track clip type of play CR animation clip. Track color. I'm not sure what to do for color here. What would be a good color for Karante? I guess that would be like a yellowish. So, what, like 0.7, 0.7, and 0? Seems like that's not quite right, but we'll find out. We're going to override. We're going to do create track mixer. At the end, we'll just do that. And then we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than m clips dot link count I plus plus. And we're going to say, how do I want to do this? Oh, you know what I also need to do is I need to make this. Oh, right. I also need to do that. Dot resolve graph dot get resolver. Do that. And I also need to make this derive from SOS playable asset, which is going to be in common. Common. Okay, that way I can actually adjust the duration and all of that. Okay, next I'm going to want to say play CR animation clip is equal to m underscore clips of I dot asset as play CR animation clip. All right, then we're going to say ooh. No, that's fine. I gotta resolve things, which is always so much fun. So we're gonna say I need to have using I'll say sleepyowl.common. I feel like I'm gonna need that. We're also gonna say using Karante FX, and then we're gonna say CR animation is equal to clip dot animation dot resolve graph dot get resolver. Cool. Next, we're going to need to shove my cat off of my keyboard because she wants all the attention in the world. But once we get that, can we get the length? Animation dot, so I get duration, length. There's animation length. That's good. So we can cast that to a double. So we're going to go ahead and say m clips dot display name, or what is it? Nope, sorry, inclusive I dot display name, yep, is equal to string dot format. So this is going to be play CR anim. I'm just going to do that. It's a little lazy, but and then we're going to use animation dot name. Okay, and then we will also go ahead and say if m clips, well, no, hold on. If clip dot manual duration is less than 0, then we'll go ahead and say m clips of I dot duration is equal to clip dot duration. And we'll also go ahead and say, do I want to do, yeah, I want to do that. We'll say clip dot duration, sorry, clip duration is equal to double, and then animation dot length. Okay, so I think this will work. Did I end up using? I don't need common. Okay. I think that will work. So let's go ahead and just try this out. Okay, let that all compile. I'll be pretty excited if that's actually going to work on the first try. Means I'm getting better. Right. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're going to add a track group. We're going to call this. We'll also add a play CR animation track. Ooh, that came out lime green. Oh, that did not turn out well. Let's try to make that like, I don't know, 9 and 8. Yeah, that is a bit of a hideous color. Let's see, we'll call this, I don't want to call it cutscene, but I guess that's kind of what it is. And I gotta wait for Unity to compile anyway. I'm wondering if I can see the color difference actually. Oh, it collapsed. That's alright. The reason I did that color is because of the color of Currante FX. It's got like a largely yellow emblem. Alright, so I guess we'll call this Currante. Currante FX. Okay, let's go ahead and say add play animation clip. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and drag this in. Nice! Auto stretched and everything. So once we have that, then we're going to probably want some events to set data. Do I want to do that? Yeah. It wouldn't really make sense for them to be on the cutscene trigger. So, all right. Currently trying to think how best to handle post cutscene stuff. Playable graph being evaluated with no outputs. That's interesting. What in the world is doing that? Uh-oh. Hold on. What did I do? Oh, right. Null reference there. So I need to say if animation does not equal null, then we're going to do all this fun stuff. Collapse some of this. All right. So it was because I had a null object there, so I was trying to access the name of a null object, and that would cause problems. Cool. So let's go ahead and clear that out. So I think we're going to want to make some more playable behaviors that are specifically for like setting data IDs in session. So let's go ahead, collapse that. We're going to create folder, data, I guess, for lack of a better term. We'll say create, set variables. Data ID. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and say create playables, playable behavior. And we're going to call this set data ID. Do I care about anything else? That's probably fine. I'm wondering if I should have contextual. Well, that would suck. That's going to be highly specific anyway, so I'm not going to worry about that for now. Um, I was thinking about having specific things happen in cutscenes if you've done specific things. Um, I don't really know what a good example of that would be, but it would be cool. But I can't really think of specifics right now, so it wouldn't really do us much good for me to sink time into figuring out how to do that or how to approach it, really. So set data ID clip. And we only need the behavior in the clip for this. We don't want a custom track because we don't need to resize these things automatically, so I don't really care about having a custom track. Let's go ahead and reload all this fun stuff. Open up set data clip ID. Set data ID clip. Well, I'm going to take a drink too. So. All right. No, I already did that. Make this text quest with a capital T. Paste this. All right. We're also going to need to say using sleepyowl.common. I think actually data IDs might not be that. So we're going to say public data ID. I guess we'll just say ID is equal to data ID dot none. Now here's the fun part. I need to determine what that value is. Public. Do I have this session info type? Maybe. Type is equal to. Okay, then yes, this is what I want. All right. Then we're also going to need to say public bool value. It's going to be set to false by default. Okay, public int value is equal to 0 by default. I don't really know what else I need. I guess I can do session, float, and string values, although I don't really know why I would ever use those here. So, but we'll do it anyway. Public float value is equal to 0, of course 0f. And public string value is equal to nothing. And the last one will be, I guess we'll just keep it at that because the session type takes a string, so we'll just do that. Okay. So we're going to need all of this over here in behavior. Let's go ahead and get rid of you. We don't really care about anything else here. We don't care about starts or stop. We only want, again, on play. We don't care. And then, of course, again, we're going to say if application.isPlaying. Then we'll say session.set. Actually, you know what? Now that's where we have to do a switch statement. So switch type case sessioninfo.type dot bool break. We're going to say session.setBool ID bool value. Okay. Let's go ahead and copy this a couple of times. So we want int, float, string, and session. Int, float, string, and session. And then by default, we'll just go ahead and break, and we'll have a debug warning. On standard data ID target. All right. What were my other choices there actually? So the top 5, and then we have inventory or dropped items. Yeah, that I don't think that's ever going to be a problem. I don't think I'm ever going to remove or add things to your inventory via cutscene. Question mark? Oh, nope. I might actually end up doing that at some point. Well, we'll leave it for that. Or we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, I'm not going to worry about it. So set int value, set float value, set string value, and then here we're going to say set session. Oh, and nice, we have set session pools. Well, that complicates things. I didn't realize that I had that. Actually, is there even a point to that? Let's do string value. I'm not entirely convinced that this is actually going to really do much differently. Yeah, because we still just set things, yeah, but to their string value, so that's fine. Oh, really? Well, let's go ahead and fix that real quick. So I want to go ahead and say, I need to add some generic IDs here. Public static void set session string data ID string value. Alright, and with that, we're just going to go ahead and say, I'm pretty sure that all I've been doing is casting that to the string, right? And set int. Yep, cool. So we'll say if ID does not equal data ID dot none, then we'll say set session string ID dot name value. Okay. I might as well also do this real quick for everything else. Let's see, get session, set session string. Is that properly done? Yep, it is. Set session int. Set session int. Set session float. And then set session bool. Bool. And bool. Alright, now we can come back over here. That should all work. String value should work just fine. Alright. Now we're going to have to write a custom property drawer for this. So let's go ahead and let that go. I suppose I want to do this. We'll make another track here. Once Unity compiles, project compilation times take way too long. Let's go ahead and add track group. We'll call this data. Create a playable track. Let's create a clip. Interesting. Why don't I see set data? Oh, there it is. Bah. I wasn't looking hard enough. Okay. Frack. Okay, so it's not that I want a custom track for them, but I kind of need a custom track because I would like it to actually say set data ID and then in parentheses the data ID that it's affecting. So, yeah, need a custom track for that. Because of course I do. Because I'm obsessive with this stuff now. But while we're at it, go ahead and make a folder for editor stuff. So, editor. And then we'll create C# script. We'll call this set data ID track. And I honestly don't remember if if I have, were they editors? I don't remember if I use a custom editor or a property drawer to actually customize the way timeline stuff looks. So give me a second. I know that one of my things has it, right? Yeah, so it's the editor. Okay. So we're going to come over here, create C# script. We'll call this set data ID clip editor. And then, of course, we can recompile and let everything load. Session because we don't need it anymore. You guys because we don't need you anymore. Let's come over to set.id clip editor and clip track. Alright, so a couple of things using Unity engine.timeline. This is going to be a track asset. Let's see, so we want track clip type of set data ID clip, and I'll come up here and make sure this is an appropriate namespace. Track color. What color do I want for this? I feel like if it's, we'll do 0.5 across the board, because I feel like if it's data, it's kind of gray. Let's override. We want to create track mixer. Of course, we'll return that at the end here. Let's see. Make sure that this is an SOS playable asset. Although I don't really need that, so I think we'll be fine like that. All right. So this is going to be using Unity editor. This is going to be a editor. We're going to say custom editor, type of, not typog, type of, it's going to be nothing from now until I can say text quest. So type of set data ID clip. Cool. So we're going to say private void on enable. We're going to have to do a bunch of private serialized properties, m underscore, and then I don't remember what the rest are. So let's go ahead and copy these. Let's get rid of everything else so that we don't have problems. Alright, so private. Alright. MID underscore type underscore bool value underscore int value underscore float value. Okay. So once we have that, we're going to want to say m underscore ID is equal to serialized objects dot find property. And that's just going to be ID. Let's go ahead and copy this. So type bool int float string. So we'll go ahead and paste these in because they're going to just be cut out later. Int string. All right. Bool int float string. All right. We're going to say override on inspector GUI. We're not going to do based on inspector. We don't care about that. We will go ahead and say serialized object.update and serialized object.apply modified properties at the end here. We're not going to put the script field because clips don't show their scripts. So, do we care about anything else? No. So we're going to go ahead and say editor GUI layout dot property field MID. All right. Go ahead and type bool string. Just copy and paste these in. All right. So now, oh, I did that wrong. well, not wrong, but I need to look at this again. So switch m underscore type dot int value, case int, and then what was it? Session info type, there we go, dot bool break. In that case, we will do this. Go ahead and come down here. Okay. Oh, wait, nope. I only need 2, actually. So we're going to go ahead and say int value comes up here. Crap, I lied. I do need 3. Curses. Here's our int, float, and string. We're actually going to go ahead and copy this, paste it again, and then session. Get rid of you. There's our float fields, and then get rid of you. There's our string. So we're going to show string for both string and session types. Okay. So now, let's let that compile. And we're going to go ahead and need to do a couple of other things. So while we're here, let's go ahead and say script playable, set data ID behavior playable is equal to script playable set data ID behavior dot create, and then we're going to go ahead and just use the graph. This will return playable. We're going to say set data ID behavior. Behavior is equal to playable dot get behavior. And then of course we have to do all the fun stuff, which is behavior dot ID is equal to ID. Behavior dot type is equal to type. Behavior dot bool value is equal to bool value. Let's see. Behavior dot float value is equal to float value. Oh, not float, float value. Behavior dot string value is equal to string value. Cool. And that's all we care about. That's all we need. Last thing to do is the track behavior, which is just going to be a simple for int I equals 0. I is less than m underscore clips dot length. Oh, nope, not length. Count. It always throws me off whenever it's dot count, because most of Unity's stuff is length, not count. Because most of their stuff are done in arrays, and it always throws me off. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and say, I guess set data ID clip is equal to m underscore clips of I dot asset as set data ID clip, and then we're going to say m underscore clips I dot display name is equal to string dot format set data ID, and then clip.id.name. Okay. So that should automatically change the clip names. We don't need to do anything with duration because we don't actually care about the duration of these things, but the name is a nice convenience. So, okay. We'll let all of that compile, and then we should be able to build it. And if I could remember my own cheat codes, I would be able to double check that. I guess we'll find out. So let's go ahead and say place text quest set data ID track. We're gonna go ahead and say set data ID, so it's got none by default. Cool. We got our custom inspector working over here. We're gonna set it to we'll do shed open because that's the shortest one. We'll set that to be true. Okay. Now, this should play the cutscene, which itself should call play on the Currente test and should set that data ID track or that data ID to be true. So let's give this a play. And I'm going to try to check the password. It's SOS. Let's see if I can remember this. Get bool shed open. Okay, so shed open is false. Good. I have added the dev console back in, and the only way I've done that is I've just kind of put cheats in the game. So let's see. So you should poo. All right. Also, that was like a surprisingly juvenile thing for me to say. I didn't. Triggers. Yeah, forgot the big one. Shed open. Also, it didn't save its data ID. That's not great. Oh wait, no, I put that on the wrong one. So, oh, and actually, in that case, that one should be Scarecrow burned. We don't want to get a false positive. So. All right. So this time, it should hopefully work. Let's go ahead. Run over. Oh, I need to change the ground type on this, I think. Sounds like it's just using default. Nice. All right. So let's see. Bool. And what was it? Shed open. Shed open is true. Nice. I guess we'll also go ahead and get Scarecrow burned. It's not that, it's... was it destroyed? Damaged? I don't actually remember what it was. Oh, I did Scarecrow, not Scarecrow. Am I really? No. Really? It's false, but it should have been set to true. That's interesting. I mean, is it spelled right? Scarecrow, SCARE, Yep, that's correct. Interesting. Okay. I don't know what happened there, but I do know that I need this to not do that. It needs to be correct. So let's go to base. Trigger entered. Oh, okay. I think I know what it is. Hold on. Let's go to text quest trigger. Go to definition. Data ID. Find all references. Huh. So I don't actually do it. That's weird. Why would I do it that way? That seems wrong. Huh. Okay. I don't want to mess with that right now because that... So what logically would, or what I would expect to happen would be when you enter this trigger, it sees that it has a data ID and then sets that data ID to be true. But it seems like this approach is more something else will set that data ID to true, and then we'll just disable this object if you enter the scene with it. That's not ideal, though. I don't like that. But we'll leave that alone for now. We might go look at the castle in a little bit. I mean, everything seems to work. The data ID in the cutscene gets set properly. We begin our simulation. It seems to play out all right. Pretty much everything happened as I would expect it to. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. But as you can see, we are still using placeholder stuff, and that's because I need to work on the actual assets for this. as well as clearly perform cleanup on the stack there, because good God, it really is hideous. Right. So I'm trying to think what else we could do tonight. It might be. I don't like ending less than 2 hours of a stream, but I guess we could try to get. Well, no. I really don't want to get the wizard in there until I have the Karate simulation done. Because the wizard's going to have to cut in a very specific manner. And I have an idea of how I want to present that, but until I have the simulation itself in a state that I'm happy with, I'm not really sure that I should get the wizard in there. We could have him show up at the very least. But then again, actually we might not be able to do that because I need to figure out a way for him to show up. Because every time the wizard shows up, I want him to show up in a fun way. But I don't know what that is yet, so... Also, I think our dirt looks a little... Nah, it's fine. So, yeah. I guess we'll end a little early tonight, but we do have Karate FX, or a placeholder Karate FX animation playing via a cutscene that we trigger, and then we are setting data for it to make sure that certain parameters get set. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else to do tonight. This is the problem with working with things that you're not entirely comfortable with yet, because karate is super cool. Like you saw, it let us do a physics simulation in like 10 seconds. But I really need to figure out the finer points of it, and then of course eventually I'm going to have to figure out is it really intense on your processor? Because if so, that might be a deal breaker actually. It doesn't seem to cause any hiccups for me. The animation seems to be fine, but also my computer is not a bad computer. It's not a toaster. But all right. I think we'll end it there for the night. Announcements. Let's see. No announcements really. It's getting to be the end of the year. I'm a little concerned. Just as a general heads up, things might get a little crunchy at work, which might cause me to miss some streams. Of course, I'll always post to Twitter and Twitch to make sure that you guys are aware when I'm canceling if that ever happens. But just be aware that work schedule might become a little bit more packed in the coming weeks, and then of course eventual holiday stuff. But so streaming might be a little bit irregular, kind of like it was in November too, because of holidays mixed with a bunch of stuff going on. So just be on the lookout for that. But I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.